Welcome to The Real Generation Gap. I'm Rudy Ruiz.
I'm Fred Stilly.
And today we're discussing Brian De Palma's 1981 film Blowout, starring John Travolta and Nancy Allen. So this story follows John Travolta as a movie sound technician, a sound recordist, who, while he's out at night recording sound effects for his latest horror movie, witnesses a terrible car accident. He manages to save the woman from the car, but the person who was driving ends up getting killed. He comes to find out that this person happens to be a presidential candidate. And as he's listening back to his audio tapes, realizes that he may have the answer to what really happened that night. And as he starts investigating, finds out that there may be a greater conspiracy at play here. So, I love this movie. I think it's an absolute banger.
I know you do. I know you do. And this is a great recommendation.
Yeah, I've been wanting to rewatch it again for a while. I hadn't seen it in a minute. And man, I mean, hitting it again, I just knew we needed to talk about it. I think I still have a lot of Brian De Palma films I have to see, but I think this may be one of those like underrated masterpieces, possibly not just in his filmography, but in that whole like 80s era or in cinema in general.
It's a weird period there.
Yeah. Did you see this movie when it first came out?
No, I have never seen this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I thought I saw another movie called Blowout. That's why when you recommended it, I sent you a text back and said it's the 1981 one, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh yeah, no, I didn't see that.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm excited to hear your thoughts then. I was going to say real quick that this is kind of a, I'm not going to say a remake, but very much inspired by Michelangelo Antonioni's film Blow Up.
Right.
Whereas in that one, instead of sound, it's a photographer. But yeah, man, I want to hear. I'm glad you liked it. I didn't know it was your first time. I thought you were.
Yeah, I didn't know it either when you recommended that. I went, oh yeah, I saw that, and then it was like, what?
Yeah.
You know, and what Nancy Allen, you know, I'll tell you what, I'm going to aggrandize Nancy Allen because she's a young ditzy girl. But she was the mean girl in Carrie. She was the one who like dumped the blood on Sissy Spacek and stuff, right? And she was in RoboCop.
Yep.
And she was in The Last Detail, Jack Nicholson.
Dressed to Kill.
And one of my favorite things in the world is the Philadelphia Experiment. It's such a weird thing that, did it really happen? Did that really happen, the Philadelphia Experiment? But we're not here to talk about that. But Nancy Allen's got it. She's not nobody. She's done a lot of movies. It was interesting because she was the totally ditzy girl, but she actually was very smart. So she was the escort of the presidential candidate, and they could not be discovered together, and it was a big scandal if they were and everything. But she really, really played the airhead, but not. A lot of her dialogue and everything was Travolta. She was like the airhead, you know, but she knew what she wanted and who she was. And she had standards.
Yeah.
It was a cool character. It was really a cool character. And of course, Travolta was a cool character because he was a sound effects man. And you know from doing these reviews with me, I love editors. I love the sound effects man, right? Like these are the unsung heroes of movies. These are, you see the movie, the door slams, the door slammed. You think the door slammed, but that door, that's not the, you know, somebody went like, no, I got a better door slam for this at this exact volume level and at this attack and decay, you know, whether there's a squeak in the hinge or not. And then that's really part of the art of making movies that AI will never do, right? Right? Something like that. And his thing in there was, they're making these low-grade B movies, and they have a girl who screams, but they can't get the right scream.
Yeah.
When he has the thing where he rescues Nancy Allen and all that stuff, she doesn't scream then. It's not, you know, but he's recording other sounds that night. He's just out getting sounds. And I know you're a filmmaker, and I made a lot of videos, and I have more B-reel than you can imagine in my little, you know, 1T thing there. I got all kind of stuff that, like, listen to that, you know? And I got to say, this picture says what I love. What I loved about this movie more than anything, this is probably something that you won't even really realize. I loved the gear. Those incredible tape decks and those stacks and stacks of, and when they edited the tape and they were actually cutting and splicing, physically like putting scotch tape on the thing. At one point, he writes with like a grease pencil, like the point on the tape where this is the moment. Like in our digital world now, we don't even know that.
Yeah.
And those beautiful wood cabinets that held the recording stuff and everything was just so crude. And man, oh man, it was wonderful to see that, the dubbing stuff and the editing stuff and the tape recorders. And, they had those like 4-track machines and everything. I just had a nostalgia trip watching him work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I adore all the analog kind of machines and everything he's doing. And it makes you, I feel like it pulls you into his thought process more as you're seeing him go through it and do the splicing. And you're very much in the mix with him. And the way
Brian he would
De
fast
Palma,
forward and rewind, fast forward and rewind
on the knobs, and like
when he sees the gun flash, it's just a few frames.
Yeah.
When the guy shoots the tire out and there's he's like, you see that? It just in this frame you see the gun flash.
Yeah.
And
De Palma, like he just covered, like his technique is so great and he covers everything in such an interesting way that it isn't flashy, but it's so useful and makes sense to the story and draws you in, like even to the point of him being on the bridge with the mic. And there's a lot of use of the split diopter, which we had mentioned in one of our other recent episodes.
Yeah, and it made me notice it.
Yeah.
The fact that you said it.
When he's got like the mic and he's like pointing towards the couple, and then you'll see the couple in focus, and then the frog or the owl when it's like the mic and then the owl right there turning. And even when he's listening back to the recording in his office, and there's a great shot where it's a close-up of him, and in the background, it's like you see the close-up of the tire and slow motion and the gunshot as he's like, we're literally having a window into like his brain. And the other great moment when he realizes the tape has been erased, which I think hits even harder knowing that it's all physical material,
right?
And it's all his stuff.
They're
and you
throwing
just see
it in
all
the
this
lake.
work.
There's no delete button. You have to actually,
But when the camera is in the middle of the room and it just spins 360 as he's checking everything, and he realizes everything's been erased and the room becomes more and more messy and it gets all like crazy. God, yeah, I love all of that. It's just so brilliant the way De Palma just uses, all his deep focus, split diopter, split screen, just the camera circles, which we've also seen in Carrie a little differently. I remember when they're dancing, the couple and the camera's going around them super quick. It's just really good, just badass filmmaking, and it's all useful. It's not there just to be there. I got to mention that opening scene again, which I love. The first time I saw this movie, I was like, wow, this is like a sorority house massacre, slumber party massacre, slasher movie.
But they had the girls, right? The girl in the shower, and in Carrie, the movie Carrie starts out with the girls in the gym.
Yeah, right.
And they're taking the shower, and it's like, wow, this guy really likes taking pictures of high school girls in the shower,
But I think it's just the perfect opening, the POV, like already hitting all the slasher tropes, and then it's only 1981. And I laugh.
And wait, because see, for me not having seen it, I didn't realize that was the movie that they were making.
Yeah,
I thought it was actually the movie. So I'm like, wow, this is like a slasher movie thing. Yeah. Like the girls are screaming and stuff. I didn't realize they're just making that movie. Like that's not part of the big story.
Yeah.
And it kind of took me a second to like, what's happening?
And I laugh at the same exact time. Like when he gets to the shower and the woman does that terrible like scream, and then it just cuts to John Travolta laughing, and you realize like, it's the movie within the movie.
Yeah.
The guy's like, we've been using the same wind and shower curtain sound effect forever, and get me some new sounds. Which I was listening to an interview with De Palma, and he said that was ripped from a moment he had directing the previous movie, where he's like, I feel like every movie we've done, we keep using the same sounds. Like we need something new. And I love that. It almost feels like, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's like a love letter to the filmmaking aspect, but it's interesting to have. I mean, there's not many movies you see like your lead character is the sound recordist for movies,
Right. Yeah. And it was believable that he would be. He was young. Travolta was young at that time. And he was sort of like, he had that lifestyle where he wasn't really making money. He was just getting by, but he was loving his work, you know, and it's good to have a character like that. You can really identify with him. Now, the guy I identified with was Lithgow, right? Because what a great villain he always is.
Yes, yes.
You know, isn't he the villain? There's a movie where Stallone is climbing mountains. Cliffhanger, right? He, oh my God, he's so awful. He's so evil in that. And he is really one of the great actors. You know, if you had a list like 50 great actors, you wouldn't think of him necessarily.
Right, right.
But interestingly enough, my mother was a huge fan of him. And we went one time to see him recite poetry in a theater, and he had no notes, and he ran off these things for like 20 minutes where he had incredible memory, memorized these long stories, and, you know, he was... the way he articulated everything and he acted out the story, it was an incredible live performance, and you don't think of him that way. Man, I just love him. And even on the TV show Third Rock from the Sun,
right,
he was like awesome every week. Such a great character. And then he was back to back with Jane Curtin also, who was amazing after SNL, you know, how she was picked for that show and did such a good job. But yeah, he's a great psycho killer. And I guess we won't do a spoiler on this one. We won't spoil it. We won't say what happened, you know, how it ended, because you need to, this is a movie where you don't guess the ending. At least I didn't. And it was really a heartthrob.
It's a great ending, yeah. We won't spoil it. So watch the movie, people.
Now, the stupid part of the movie was when they have these chase scenes, and he's in the Jeep driving through a parade. You know how many cops would have been on him?
And then he just kind of walks away.
He gets injured. They put him in an ambulance, and he gets out of the ambulance and just runs on foot. You could never do that.
Yeah,
so that's
very contrived.
Very far-fetched beyond belief, you know. But the movie isn't to be taken real seriously. It's just kind of a fun... It's kind of like he's living the B movie that he makes. You know, when he realizes there's the conspiracy, she's not buying it, there's a conspiracy. He has to sort of convince her to play along. And that in itself, like the conspiracy theory aspect of it, that's who you're going to meet in life. Like suddenly you see it and it adds up and you see the conspiracy, but all your friends don't.
Yeah.
And they think you're nuts. And then you have to convince, because he needed her to play the part.
Right.
So and she's like, I'll play the part, but I still don't buy it, you know. And so he was literally like, his life became that movie. And he had that whole thing where he was connected with the police and there was like a scandal and stuff. And now he had to sort of prove himself to them too. It's a great, the story, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting when we get into his backstory about how he was wiring undercover police, and there was a problem, battery like melted, heated, burned the guy, and then it got him caught and killed, got the officer killed. And I like that we learn that later in the movie, because that informs a lot of like decisions and choices. It is kind of interesting to me though, because it feels like, oh, suddenly when we tell the story and they're showing it, he's not just telling it, we're seeing like what happened, and it has just a shift into this whole other kind of storyline now, which
the
feels
world
a little
of his
weird.
Past.
Yeah, but I think it really pays off in the end. It works really well and just adds a lot more depth and tragedy.
Well, the movie does have that cult status. The cult, and you're obviously one of them. You know, you're one of the people who really will appreciate it. You recommended it to me. I thought it was a different movie. When I saw it, it was like, oh.
Did you think it was Blow Up or something entirely
No, I didn't think it was Blow Up.
Okay.
There is another movie called Blowout, and I thought it was that one. And you know, sometimes like you're wrong, and then you find out you were wrong about being wrong. Like, not only did I not see the movie, not only did I think it was a different movie, but the movie that I thought it wasn't even the movie that I thought. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, that's not it either. That's not. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I kind of went through that for a few minutes there, and then I just enjoyed watching this. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool recommendation. It's something, I like it when either one of us does this. People will not stumble upon this and want to watch it. They need this review to be encouraged to, to find it and watch it. And that's a big part of what we're supposed to be doing here. We're supposed to be showing you movies that each one of us likes separately that the other may not know about, but even more importantly, we want your recommendations. What movie have you seen that maybe neither of us have seen that you can turn us onto? And, that's the little community that we're trying to build here. This is why we want feedback. We want you to participate too. Tell us something that you like. Don't tell me about Princess Bride. Freaking movie's unwatchable. Everybody, oh my God. Some things I just don't get.
Yeah.
But seriously, we've had great recommendations from people through time, and we want to keep getting them. So if you have an idea, it's something that you look at both of us and go, neither one of these guys has seen this. We want that. But even if you think we have, still your recommendation it's not for us, it's for the whole, it's for all of our, we have over 5,000 subscribers now, and we're trying to, give them something good. So help us out with that, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for here. We're going to make a little community of, people who appreciate movies for whatever reasons. Anyway, do you have anything more to say?
No, that's it. I think this movie is a must-see. Check it out if you haven't seen it. For sure, must watch.
Okay. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.